Hi, my name is Vincent Walsh. I'm the Health and Environment Representative for the BASc course here at UCL, and I want to talk to you today about other worlds, or something we call other worlds, when in fact, in a sense, it doesn't make sense to talk about other worlds. We can only possibly live in the world that's constructed in our heads, that is limited by our senses, our eyes, our ears, and the ranges that we can take in information from. So I want to look at some of the examples of other worlds and think about whether they might be examples of things constructed in our heads. I want you to look at the following list. I'm going to give you a little memory test and ask you to write something down or remember things in your head and then see what you recognise. So have a look at this list of words here. That's enough. And now either keep a mental note or write down as many as you can remember. I'll give you a few seconds to do that. That's long enough if you want to get on the BASc course. And now have a look at how many of the words from this list you recognise from the original list. Shower, sugar, good tooth, soda, sweet pie, caramel. Now the original list was seeded to give you associations with sweet things, confectionery, chocolate, things like that. So some of you will either have written down sweet or caramel, and some of you will be unsure maybe that soda or sugar or good was in that list. If you wrote down sweet or caramel, or you think they were in the list, and some of you, not all of you, some of you will think that, then you've had a false memory by association. Now, if we give these false memory tests to people who report having visited another world, let's say through alien abduction, then we find that the people who claim to have been abducted by aliens are very susceptible to the false memory by association. And also people who report detailed experiences from past lives under hypnosis are also very susceptible to inserted false memories. And as are people who give eyewitness testimony in court. They can often be subject to false memory. Now this is our world, this is our internal world. People really believe it, but it's constructed by our memories and by our associations. What about another world on the other side of death? People report near-death experiences, having left their body, floated above it, gone down a tunnel of light, visited dead relatives. Can these things be explained by recourse to psychology and biological functions? Let's have a look at the brain areas and the brain activity and the brain damage in some of these people. So if you look at the three brains on the left here, you'll see coloured regions in A, B and C, red, and blue. These are regions of the brain which are damaged in people who report out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, and they are areas of the brain associated with your sense of movement, your perception of your body in space, your sense of gravity. These are the areas of the brain that one would expect to be disordered if you were going to experience your body doing strange things. D and E, you can see related brain areas. These are from patients who report a phenomenon called autoscopy. They see their bodies outside of themselves. Very powerful experiences, no doubt that people experience them, no doubt that they seem otherworldly, but also no doubt that they are based in the brain. What about the social world? Let's take on something that's a little bit riskier here. If we think about the differences between boys and girls and men and women, and let's be very un-PC for a second and think about boys' toys. So we have our social world, our cultural world, this patina of achievement over the past 12,000 years that's put on millions of years of evolution. How much of the evolutionary world is our real world? How much of our social world is the real world? So let's have a look at boys and toys. Now, if we look at how much time boys would spend, given a choice between boys and girls' toys, traditional boys and girls' toys, boys here on this side would spend a lot more time playing with traditional boys' toys. Girls would spend more time playing with traditional girls' toys. Now, there are all sorts of social reasons why that might be the case. I'm not interested for the moment in why that's the case. What I'm interested in is the difference between possible societal reasons and evolutionary reasons. So let's have a look at what happens when you give boy and girl monkeys toys to play with. And what you find is that young boy monkeys will play with the trucks and the guns and the noisy machines and smash them over each other's heads. And the girl monkeys will spend more time, not quite as much time as the human females, but the girl monkeys will spend more time with the girls' toys. Now, if we look at those two together, we can ask, are there two reasons for this? Are there societal reasons for this graph and evolutionary reasons for this one? Or should we be looking for an underlying reason for both of them? Is there a social world? Is there an evolutionary world? Is our world something that we construct? And finally, our senses are very different from other animals. So we live in the world that we can only possibly live in because, unlike bees, we can't see ultraviolet. Unlike some electric fish, we can't detect others around us by detecting their electrical currents. Unlike dogs, we don't live in a rich olfactory world which we can navigate by smell. So there's a sense in which our world might be the other world rather than other animals living in another world. And a question then we have to ask is, how do we differ from these animals? Do we really live in a different psychological world? And we've always been at pains to put ourselves at some distance from other animals. We used to believe that we were the only tool users. Well, we're not. We used to believe that we were the only animals who use language. It doesn't seem that we are. We used to believe that we were the only animals who had any notion of death, for example. That might not be true either. And now we've landed on the idea that mathematics is one of the things that separates us from other animals, our ability to count. So let me tell you about one little experiment carried out with lions in the Serengeti. Imagine a group of 7 lions going out to lion about during the day, and then they come back to their home turf in the evening to sleep, and somebody has put in the bush loudspeakers, and the loudspeakers play the sound of 5 lions. These 7 lions go rushing in to sort out the 5 lions. They haven't seen them, they've just heard the sound of 5 lions. It's not that the sound of the 5 lions is quieter than the 7 lions. This works even if the 5 lions are very noisy. Now let's imagine that those lions come back and they hear 7 lions. 7 of them hearing 7 other lions. Then they hedge their bets. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they stay back. But if those 7 lions come back and they hear 9 lions being played through the loudspeakers, even if it's 9 very quiet lions, they know there are 9 lions there, then they don't go back to their territory that evening. They find somewhere else to sleep. So an estimation there of number which seems very familiar to us, an estimation of risk which seems very familiar to us, and really another example of a case where we might not be that different from other animals. Our own social world, our own psychological world might actually be informed by and be very similar to that of other animals. And I wish you well in the exam, and I hope to see some of you next year. Thank you very much.